Good morning, my dear ones. Well, here I am on Sunday morning with an hour less sleep. I think it's time for coffee. How about you? It looks like it's going to be a beautiful sunny day again today with just a little skiff of snow outside. And so, in spite of an hour less sleep, I intend to embrace this day. It's been an interesting week, and I say that. It seems to be the phrase that I use most often. It's been an interesting week. I looked at the statistics this week, and I was struck with something pretty profound. The number on the morning when I looked at it for the number of lives lost in the United States had hit 525,000. And I don't know about you, but occasionally I will get a song stuck in my head, and what that number did is remind me of the song Seasons of Love from the musical Rent. The main refrain is 525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments so dear, 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? And so this morning our coffee time is indeed that question. How do you measure? If you're not familiar with the song, I put a link on the website so that you can listen to it. It's quite beautiful. And it seems to me that refrain, 525,600 minutes, is part of a modern liturgy. The refrain from Seasons of Love, which forms the heart of the musical Rent and counts out the time that measures a year. And now in this minute, I unfortunately acknowledge that we have exceeded the number 525,000 with deaths in the United States contributed to COVID-19 1 year after the beginning of the nationwide lockdown. My beloveds, that means millions of minutes that will never be fulfilled in a year spent apart from one another. But numbers only tell a story when we let them. It's easy to let them overwhelm our sense of scale. And there is this abominable truth in the idea that one death is treated as a tragedy, while hundreds of thousands are experienced as a mere statistic. And so my do not be afraid moment this week really has been impacted by not just a number, but understanding the lives that have been lost. Throughout this past year, I've tried to take moments to remind myself and you as the congregation not to let the numbers numb us. Even as we check charts to see how things progress, cases, positivity rates, and unavoidable deaths, we must again and again remember that every life is an entire universe to someone. The power of the lyrics of Seasons of Love, written against the backdrop of another visceral terror, it was the AIDS epidemic and crisis, is that the calculation of minutes is not sufficient to measure the year. Instead, it is in moments like sunsets, midnights, and cups of coffee that take a true measure. Not in time, but in relationships, in emotions, in opportunities, and inevitably, as we are this morning, in loss. For some during this time, such a universe has already been lost. There are no reminders needed, only space to remember. For some, we know we have who have experienced this sorrow. We have had the isolation imposed by COVID, adding another layer of loss to their grief. For all of us, we know that this year will always be the year measured in what cannot be measured. Rabbi Michael Bernstein, I read his reflection, and it shored up these thoughts this morning. And in his reflection, he wrote the very beginning of the Mishnah, in case you wondered. That's the core text of rabbinic teaching that often serves for teachings at a house of Shiva. Intimate creates this point. And Shiva is the Jewish period of mourning observed the first week after the funeral of a parent or a spouse, a sibling, or a child. So anyway, the Mishnah, the instruction that has originated from the oral Torah, asks a technical question as to when a person should recite the statement of faith known as the Shema. This is the prayer found in Deuteronomy 6, and it is recited in the Jewish tradition twice a day. Now, he goes on to say that the answer given seems odd. The answer is when the priests partake of their ritually pure offerings. So he notes that a later conversation then has to clarify when that moment actually occurs. And the answer is when it is dark enough for stars to come out. So that left him with the question, why not just say that in the first place? Why not indeed? As you can see, answers to questions are rarely clear-cut. The way in which the text chooses to prioritize a human moment like eating over an astronomical phenomenon teaches what we learn in our contemporary liturgy about the way to measure a year. Because although day in, day out can be measured on the clock and calendar, even in days such as this, where we seemingly lose an hour, during this strange time of isolation and lockdown, we may lose a sense of time altogether. And while all seasons can be measured, the meaning of one life for another can only be found in what has no measure. No measure. We are afraid. But in this moment when we are afraid, let us pray that this number, impossible and familiar at the same time, be the last milestone of its kind. May our moments and seasons only be measured in life and in love. Let us always be engaged in seasons of love. Let us not count our losses in millions of moments. Let this be the end. My beloveds, again, wash your hands. Wear your masks. Socially distance. And when you have the opportunity, get your vaccinations. We are coming slowly but surely to the other side. I no longer want to have this beloved song echoing in my ears because we have achieved another 525,000. Let it end now. Do everything you can to love those in our community enough to caretake them. I know, coffee time hasn't been quite so serious lately, but this is. Let us sip our coffee together. Let us be prayerful and mindful. Let this be our season of love. Beloveds, I am so looking forward to seeing you in person for Easter Sunday. There will be more information coming soon, but I am looking forward to time with you once again. For all of those who don't have that opportunity, let us be mindful and let us as community offer love. Peace be with you. I'll talk with you soon. Enjoy not one, but 2 anthems from Miss Janet this week. Kind of a preface of our time together that is on the horizon. Peace be with you.